And here we are. Well, it's probably going to be a big one. So let me just start off by saying I'm going to save the fourth edition talk for the end. So if you want to skip to that, I'll try and put a time code in the description. But as for our normal stuff, again, not making much progress on hobby. I'm just not really feeling painting right now, and I've got a lot of fine detail work to be done. I will try and get some stuff done, mainly on my red chapel here, because they're the only ones with a game coming up. So, and I haven't had a chance to play Seamus, which is a bit of an interesting thing at the moment. I was thinking about waiting for the new edition to drop, but live in the now, not in the future. As for games, well, we only really had the 3 games from the tournament. So, let's get into that, eh? So, round 1, now I did cry all the way through this. Round 1 was versus Zarada. Ended up as a 4-4 draw. Now, there were some mistakes for me here. Mainly, I did have a good plan to let Grissom take the hit to stop him from obeying my important stuff. And then I just let Ikio get away from the Grissom so he could just obey her and run her back away from me, doing some damage to my own people on the way. It was some poor choices on my part. As for the fact it was a draw, I think both of us made some mistakes in just not considering what we could score right now. A real theme through the tournament, for me at least. Remembering you're on the clock and sometimes you just need to do something quick and not set up for the future. Things might change, but a good lesson to learn, I think, from most gaming systems, especially when you're on the clock. Now, as for round 2 versus Bass, this was a 4-5 win for me. Very brutal game. We both went just murder hobo in the middle of the board there for a bit. Now, I did make some mistakes getting Karai killed. Again, some poor gameplay on my part, just not need some more reps with her to know. But then Ikio just stuck around and he could not kill her, and she just kept cutting things down. Oddly enough, what ended up being the decisive thing is I sent a couple of minions off into a corner to score or raid the vaults, and it turned out he had let them bleed. So I just hid them in the corner on full health, which stopped his second point, which was enough to eke me on to a win, which was pretty good. I mean, a fine point, and sometimes you just need to remember points win games, as we were murdering each other in the middle of the board there. As for round 3, this was versus Mei Fang. This one really upset me. I did have a plan going into round 3 to do some hazardous stuff and try and catch them out, and my opponent declaring Mei Fang sort of ruined that, knowing he'd probably go with the title that would be immune, make them more immune to hazardous. So I had to really pivot plans on the fly, and I don't think I adapted too well, given that it was a 4-2 loss for me. As I said, things didn't go quite according to plan. I did cake Karai 2, hoping to summon a lot of stuff to chase down his guys and try and pin him, as well as run off into the corners to score points, as we had a few things that required the corners, and we were in corner deployment, so it was quite a long way to go. So summoning some enslaved spirits to really start getting things moving was a large part of my plan, and it just didn't work out for me. I suppose it's what it is. So to recap, we did end on a 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 draw, putting me in 4th place out of 6. Now, that's technically below the above 50% I want to be in my tournament play, but given I'm not so cocky as to be aiming for podium positions, I'm pretty happy with the overall result. I do believe it leaves my average win rate at -1 point, which is pretty similar to Guild, so not too bad given I don't have much practice with these crews yet. A few other things that might be of interest. So we had mostly Neverborn, free Neverborn, an Arcanist, Guild. Obviously I was doing roses myself, but I think about recaps that, of course, I'm stuck in a sort of dilemma of I was making some notes about learning the different crews, but given a lot of them are probably going to change before the end of the year, I probably won't hassle with that and more focus on general better play kind of points. Like, as I said, just thinking about, especially when you're on the clock, where you can score points here and now and get them in the bank. So, on to our other subjects. Obviously, big news at the moment is 4th edition. Now, I'm going to refrain from talking too much specifics. I'd rather save those kind of things till we actually have the finished product in hand. So, just some on broad strokes. Obviously, a lot more freedom of movement and terrain, it looks like, as well as more emphasis on elevation. So I'm going to have to redesign my board a bit more, but I'm looking forward to it. The same as schemes, having this sort of branching method that keeps going on. Really looking forward to trying that out. At this point, I have seen some of the new cards, specifically the release for Tara. Again, not going into specifics, but I'm liking where they're going with it. They look much cleaner. I really like the crew cards, giving your whole keyword some effects and abilities. I also like how the different titles seem to have a different crew card, which means the title can effectively change a whole crew quite easily. We have seen a sneak peek at some of Karai's stuff, which looks fairly similar to how she is now. Seamus, I don't expect to change too much. I don't really know what will happen to Von Stuck. McMorning's the interesting one I would like to see, given that he is currently obviously a condition master, which without stacking conditions, I don't quite know how that's going to go. So I'm curious to find out. Which, of course, brings us to the effective expansion of the Dead Man's Hand. Well, at least this time they all count as proxies for something, which is better. I also note that obviously I was discussing early on when we just heard the announcement that they should probably roll some minions into each other like they did with the Autumn Knights. And this is effectively that. So overall, I'm not upset with it. There's a few that I'm disappointed to see go. But on the same hand, there'll probably be lots of new toys for us. So another thing to be hopeful for. But I think that's all from me. So that's Captain Steel signing out.